Right back live tonight here in Focus. Students from 26 universities may pay more for tuition and accommodation if Higher Education Minister Nzimande has his way. Dr. Nzimande has proposed 4.5% and 6.5% increases respectively for universities between 2025 and 2027. This comes as some students on NSFAS struggle to register for the 2024 academic year due to unpaid allocations. For more on this conversation, we are now joined by Gugu Ihenacho, Senior Assistant Director for Financial Aid at the University of Pretoria. Gugu, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. What assumptions are you making, or maybe they are not assumptions, they would have been clearly communicated and articulated as to why the minister would make such a proposal?
Thank you, Thabo, and good evening to your viewers. The proposed fee increase, there's actually a process that is followed before a recommended increase can be given to the minister. So I think with the raising prices in all aspects of life that we are facing currently in South Africa, I think a lot of institutions would have submitted a request for a particular increase. And then obviously then there's a balancing act that needs to happen where the increase must not be too much that South Africans then can't afford it, and also not to erode the buying power of the university so that we can be able to continue operational and be able to welcome our students and continue providing the quality higher education that we are known for.
Yeah. So how will this, for example, impact on the number of students who can be funded by the various schemes? How does this impact on the number of students who can be admitted to institutions of higher learning?
Obviously, that comes with a significant decrease. So a lot of the institutions looking at like NSFAS, where they've recently been informed that their budgets will be cut significantly going forward to try and salvage whatever is left in the fiscus, that means that less students will be funded going forward. I know a lot of people are under the assumption that the NSFAS funding is guaranteed for everyone that applied. However, if you look at the NSFAS regulations, there is a provision there that says that funding is subject to budget availability. So if you look at the budget availability from NSFAS perspective, and you look at the tuition that us as an institution are going to be charging, then that budget will be depleted very quickly. And if you look at the private sector players, those that are coming through to assist us with the students that are in the missing middle doing their postgraduate studies, a lot of people that wouldn't be able to otherwise have obtained funding from the government spheres, it means that a lot of us will have to be thinking long and hard about who we fund and who do we allocate that funding to in trying to make the greatest impact for South Africa as a whole and also for the working sector that we have currently.
Yeah. Student union saying that this could possibly result, for example, in a surplus that beneficiaries would have to pay themselves out of their pocket, saying it could increase their budget by up to 10%, in fact, of the surplus that they would need to pay. Now, I know some institutions say they do allocate some kind of budget to assist students who could possibly be struggling. I mean, would that be able to even meet the students halfway?
Not even closely, not even putting a dent in the gap that will be left for students to fund. If you look at the funding model that we currently have as a country, it's currently funding students that are in the household income ranging from 0 to 350. So in 350,000 per annum, those ones find it very easier to get funding, and also with the NSFAS model being improved over the years with the free higher education. And then you have this very big gap of the students that are in the missing middle that have been trying to pay for the fees for themselves. They make up a significant proportion of the students that we have in our campuses. So no matter how much we can put out right now as institutions to try and assist the gap that would be left by the government funding and what the proposed increase is, it won't even put a dent on it.
So, I mean, what would be the effect of the other option of not increasing the fees?
Yes, like I said, it's a very delicate balancing act, because then it means that a lot of institutions will be left without funding to run operations, because a lot of us, we actually rely on the tuitions that students are paying to run operations. As you have known, over the years, our block grant that we're receiving from government has significantly decreased as funds were moved away from the grant and channeled towards NSFAS funds and in other aspects that the fiscus has had to cover. So it's just a very delicate balancing act, because then we still need to continue. We still need to be able to provide that quality education. We still need to be able to provide facilities for the students to be able to engage meaningfully in their education. However, then you speak about affordability as well. It's just that it's a major gap that someone really needs to step up and try and fill for those students.
Is it not a contradiction, though, if NSFAS announces a cap, for example, on accommodation at 45,000, and then you give an increase to those very same residents' fees? I mean, you're trying to manage the exorbitant cost of accommodation, yet you're raising the cost of accommodation. How are students then supposed to afford that accommodation?
Yeah, The 45,000 rand cap that they imposed on the student in terms of the allowances is, for me, it was very haphazardly done and not well thought out. And I was under the impression that a lot of the stakeholders were coming together to look into that cap, because it has left a lot of students in distress currently, as they now have debts with the university, unable to register. And now the other blow that is coming, that you are increasing the actual charge now by 6.4%. But yet there's no talk about increasing the 45,000. It's just very disheartening, and it's causing a lot of confusion in the industry. There's just so much that we need to deal with, especially as the people that are working in the financial aid offices. We get a lot of questions that we are currently unable to answer, because no one is willing to step up and actually say, this is the direction that we are taking as a sector, and this is how we are assisting the student. So you are just caught between a rock and a hard place, because you have a student in front of you, they're in distress, you also are not sure how to assist. So we just need some direction right now.
So the minister would then normally say, well, the decision to set fees really rests with the university councils and not with the minister. He's made the proposal. What are the councils likely going to do with this proposal? I personally don't see them rejecting a proposal. Maybe they might even want more.
I think from a council's perspective, we really don't have a choice but to adhere to the proposal. As you have seen maybe in the circular, when they were talking about the proposed increase, they did say that NSFAS will not be paying a cent more than what has been proposed as an increase. And a lot of the students currently, we have a very huge population of NSFAS students in our campuses. So it means that you are then juggling between debt, student debt, and also being able to charge more on fees. And I think a lot of the councils will actually choose to remove the burden from the student and just adhere to the fee increase.
So the concerns being raised by the students on affordability, you're saying they are legitimate at this time, but there is very little, you're saying, that universities would be able to do or help to assist.
Yes, the concerns are very legitimate and should be listened to. It's just that the universities alone cannot do much. We need all parties to come together and try to find a lasting solution to this mammoth problem that everyone is currently facing. The cost of attendance currently in the sector, it's very high. Like, we're looking at anything between 80,000 to 180,000 per annum just for 1 year of study. So if you look at that and you compare the bursary thresholds that we are currently faced with, because a lot of them, they would look at only households that are earning like 300 to 600,000. That's the missing middle threshold. So then you are looking at other parents that are earning 650,000. Can they really afford to be paying 19,000 per month so that their student can be able to sit in class and engage fruitfully in the learnings that will be happening in the institution? And the answer is no.
Gugu, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. Gugu Ihenacho there with the Higher Education Minister Nzimande proposing tuition and resident hikes for universities, and how this is going to impact on the number of students that will be enrolled and the affordability of higher education.